coming
Are you out
up.
of your mind?
What do you mean?
You must be out of your mind.
Why do you say that? What would you
know that I know that you don't even believe that.
About what?
You know that I know that you're just saying this for the radio show.
No.
Because if you
No.
think that police brutality is a non-existent issue, then I feel sorry for you.
It is a non-existent issue. Black Americans are suffering, not all, but most Black Americans are suffering due to the failure of the family, the destruction of the family, and the lack of moral character.
And how did the family get destructed?
They gave in to the government under Lyndon B. Johnson. They said, okay, we're going to give you a welfare check, but you can't have a man in the house.
Exactly. It was systematic genocide to break up the black family so that there could not be a man in the house.
Right.
And we're going to take all the extracurricular activities out of your schools, by the way.
But what was wrong with them?
And we're going to drop drugs down, and we're going to let you go for it.
And so what's wrong? And then the blacks decide to follow the so-called leadership.
Us blacks, brother.
So they stop thinking for
blacks.
themselves. What's wrong with black men and women that they would allow the government to seduce them in that way?
America
But why
has
are
been
they so
afraid
dumb?
of black men ever since they brought them here. And probably the hatred
America
of the
is
fact
not
that
a-
the white women don't want anything to do with white men anymore, and they're so enthralled by that black skin and that black sexuality that the white man can't stand it.
Nobody is
Probation.
afraid of black men, not even a black
Everybody
woman.
is.
I have with me Lunell. Lunell is in studio. She is a comedian, actress, and singer. She has appeared in So I Married an Axe Murderer.
So I married an
Axe
ex-murderer.
The Rock, Barat, and Think Like a Man. Thank you for coming in.
1 and 2.
I have watched you. Oh, you were in both? 1 and 2, Think Like a Man?
Yes.
And do you think like a man in real life?
I do.
You do? And how does a man think?
Well, I think a man thinks strategically.
Yeah.
I think men tend to sometimes overanalyze, and I tend to do that sometimes in certain circumstances. And I also think like a man in business.
Oh, good.
I'm about my business.
Why do black people always include, when it comes to civil rights issues and quote unquote black issues, why do they always include the homosexuals and the transgenders and like all the crazy people? Because it doesn't have anything to do with being black, and
Well-
they were never a part of the quote unquote civil rights movement. Why include them in the plight of black people? It perverts what black people are trying to do.
Well, you yourself, being a black person, could answer that as well as I could. And you can't say they; you have to say we, because we are
But
black.
I'm not for that. I don't.
Right, but you are black,
But
regardless.
I know, but
so.
I would not include the radical homosexuals and transgender. I wouldn't include the crazy people in it.
Well, crazy is subjective. People may call you crazy. They may call me crazy. That's
But why
subjective.
include them though in what you're trying to do? What is
Well,
the purpose
I think
of that?
that the Lord includes everyone.
The Lord.
And we have to walk in the footsteps.
Did you say the Lord?
I said the Lord. and I think that some kind of way, us as black people, us, you, me, him, as black people have been a forgiving type of people and all-inclusive type of people. We have empathy for other folk besides ourselves. And I think that now, me personally, I believe that our plight is separate from that of the, as you said, crazies or whatever like that. I believe that our plight is a separate one.
So
and a
why
different
allow
one.
them to jump on board whenever, especially when they want to push their agenda? The first thing they do is say, well, this is a civil rights issue, just like black people. They really don't care about black people at all. And liberal blacks, I don't do that because I see what's going on. And they say, oh, yeah, come on board. They join. Why? What's wrong?
Well, I can only speak for myself. And in my heart and in my soul, I see the Persians, the Asians, the Jewish, the gays, the women, the senior citizens, all fighting the good fight to just be treated with kindness and equalness for pay and equalness in the workplace. And so in that context, I believe that we are all fighting the same fight. Of course, there are different situations that are applied to different groups and categories of people.
That's right.
Why do you speak of black people in the third person, like you're not included in the...
Because I'm black, but I'm a Christian. I'm an American.
Right.
And I don't identify just with black people or white people.
I get that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. However, you can't exclude yourself from being black. Because if you were pulled over on Pico Boulevard in an hour, the first thing they're going to see is not your Christianity and not your, political stance. They're going to see you as a black man. That's something you can't really hide from.
And what does that mean, though?
Well, that means that you're going to be, no matter what your stance is and no matter what your faith is, that's not what you're judged by at first sight.
I know, but once I'm stopped by the cops, I do what they say. I show my license.
Right.
I show my insurance papers.
And we say, and I speak, fluently and correctly, and I don't badmouth the police, and that has never stopped anyone from being drugged out of the car.
No, that's not true. I've never been drugged out.
No, not you, but there's plenty of people who have complied with the police exactly, and they still
No, that's not true either.
Yes, that is true.
No, absolutely
Yes.
not true. Mm-hmm. The reason that they were taken from the car is because they would not follow the instructions.
No,
of
that's not
And
in every case.
You know how black people loudmouth, they go off.
And Latinos and drunk white folks and a lot of folks.
Are you as disappointed but not surprised as I am at the black football players who have built a career playing football? Anywhere between 400 to 600 of them have criminal records, and yet they've been able to play football, make buku money, and to show their appreciation for that, they are turning their backs on the flag, on the country, on the fans, on their bosses. The president said, the Great White Hope said that fire the SOBs, and I agree with him. Do you agree with us?
Are you out of your mind?
What do you mean?
You must be out of your mind.
Why do you say that?
Now, let me preface what I'm about to say by saying, I think if they were going to get fired, they should got fired when they're doing things like beating women, fighting dogs, doing drugs, running through prostitutes, things like that, which are morally unethical if you're going to represent a major football team in the United States of America.
That's right. I agree.
But for taking a stance against police brutality, which is what it's not about the flag and it's not about the song. It's a stance against police brutality and people getting killed in the streets. When you can just as soon shoot a person in the foot and take them into custody as shoot them in the back or the head. That is what the protest is about. And everybody seems to want to lose sight of that and make it be about something that it's not.
But it is about that. And Colin Kaepernick said he won't honor the flag of a country that oppresses black people and people of color. So it is about the flag.
And doesn't he have the right to do that?
Not at work. Take that mess to the hood. Not at work. You do not have a right to go to work getting paid. You promise the boss that you'll do an 8-hour job. You get buku money. You don't have the right to go to work and protest.
This is exactly why I work for myself.
But do you agree with that?
No, I do not.
You think so? If you hire someone and they have some phony issue like police brutality, which doesn't which doesn't exist, by the way, would you want them to come to work and rather than doing their job, they go to kneel at work? What would you
know that I know that you don't even believe that.
About what?
You know that I know that you're just saying this for the radio show.
No.
Because if you think that police brutality is a non-existent issue, then I feel sorry for you.
It is a non-existent issue. Black Americans are suffering, not all, but most. Black Americans are suffering due to the failure of the family, the destruction of the family, and the lack of moral character.
And how did the family get destructed?
They gave in to the government under Lyndon B. Johnson. They said, okay, we're going to give you a welfare check, but you can't have a man in the house.
Exactly. It was systematic genocide to break up the black family so that there could not be a man in the house.
Right.
And we're going to take all the extracurricular activities out of your schools, by the way.
But what was wrong with them?
And we're going to drop drugs down, and we're going to let you go for it.
And so what's wrong? And then the blacks decide to follow the so-called leadership.
Us blacks, brother.
So they stop thinking for
blacks.
themselves. What's wrong with black men and women that they would allow the government to seduce them in that way?
Well, I think because since slavery, we've not had any therapy. You have a you have a country that has raped, pillaged, beat, drugged, degraded us as a people ever since we've been here. Everybody can say, oh, my parents came to Ellis Island, and my parents came from Italy, and my parents came from Yugoslavia, and they came of their own fruition. We were brought here. We don't have our own religion. We don't have our.
We don't have our
own religion.
We're Christians.
We don't have no, sir. In Africa, if we came from Africa, we were not Christians in Africa.
Where were you?
There was another religion, the Yoruba religion, and all that type of stuff that we had.
That's
that
why
was
Africa
ours.
is so screwed up.
And we don't have a language.
Let me ask you this: if what you just said is true, why were blacks doing better prior to the civil rights movement than they are today?
How were they doing better?
They had families. They worked hard. They had black universities. They didn't hate one another and hate the white man. They believed in God. They were men and women of character, and now they lack all of that.
Because it's all in the grand scheme of things. The plot. America has been afraid of black men ever since they brought them here, and probably the hatred of the fact that the white women don't want anything to do with white men anymore, and they're so enthralled by that black skin and that black sexuality that the white man can't stand it. And the whole plot is to get every black man with a number under their neck and on
Nobody's
probation.
afraid of black men. Not even a black woman.
Everybody is afraid of
the only
black
people
women.
who are afraid of black men are the decent folks who are trying to earn a living, while the gangs and the drug dealers and all of them are attacking and killing them.
Are there no decent gays? Are there no decent Latinos? Are there no decent black women?
What is it about black men that they need to be afraid of? They don't produce.
You wouldn't know now, would you?
They don't produce anything. They don't raise their children. They don't get married to their women. They don't take care of their own community.
I believe the white people listening don't even believe what you're saying.
Look around you.
Are there not black firefighters up there fighting that fire right now?
Right.
Are there not black people feeding hungry people right now?
They live in the suburbs.
What? You don't know where they live.
A minute. Let me ask, do you believe that there's such a thing as white supremacy?
Absolutely.
And where's the proof of it?
I believe that they believe there's a such thing as white supremacy.
Where's the proof of it?
But in the eyes of God, nobody is supreme over anybody.
Where's the proof of it?
I also believe there's a huge thing called white privilege.
Where's the proof of it?
Where's the proof of it?
Yes.
Well, they have organizations and websites dedicated to white supremacy.
They have black people doing that too.
Oh, what is it called?
Black Panther, New Black Panther, Black Lives Matter.
It's not supremacist.
That's the same thing.
No, it's not.
Well, why is it when white people do it, it's supremacist, but when black
You would
people
have to
do
get
it,
a
it's
white
not?
person in here to answer that question.
Okay.
I'm not white, never wanted to be, never will be, and I can't speak for all white people.
Have you ever dated a white man?
Absolutely.
And did you like it?
It was awkward
And why?
because at the time, when I did it, like over 20 years ago, I lived in an all-white community. I was, unlike your perception.
You moved out of the hood.
My parents moved me out of the hood to the white community to get me away from the drugs. They took me where the better drugs were, where the more accessible drugs were, and where the white boys were.
Lunell, thank you for coming on. Will you come back?
I don't want to leave now. But yes, I would absolutely love to come back. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.